Okay, what I'm going to try and do here is something I've not actually done before. I will just create a very quick, very basic cube, and we'll find out how to texture it and pop it into Train Simulator. Okay, so we're going to start with a box. Here we go, look, box is over here, click on box, keyboard entry. There are of course lots of different ways of doing this, but here we go, we'll have it a 3 meter cube. There we go, and 3 meters, and click on create. Oh look, we have a 3 meter square cube. Now we need to right click, convert it to editable poly. This is probably the most basic and common method. We need to give it a name. This is very important, that the way you do this. This is all to do with levels of detail, LODs. I'm not going to go into that at the moment. Suffice to say that it must be done this way. We'll choose number 1, an underscore. Now this next number must be 4 digits long, and it is the distance at which the object will be viewed from. We'll pick 2000 meters. 2, 1, 2, 3. It must be 4 digits or it will cause problems. Okay, another underscore, and give it any old name. Any old name that you want. I would call it a box. Oh, a box. It doesn't look right, does it? BOX. There we go, that's a box. There are bits that you can add at the end of this for various effects in Train Sim, but that's a little bit more advanced than we're doing today. Now we've got it selected. We press M on the keyboard, and we need to select and load a texture. So we click on this thing here and pick any one that you like. Click down here, get material, and assuming that you have already put the necessary plugins in place, RW material will appear. Double click that, and we're done with that box. Now I'm going to use something more basic over here. We're going to click on it, come down here and pick Train Basic Object Diffuse. Again, we're keeping this all very basic. Click on the slot texture, choose bitmap and double click. Now we need to find where we saved our get it right. Mine is the Kent Coast. We put it in scenery, under buildings, and open the textures folder, and look, there's the texture we created earlier. Click on that one, and it pops up there. Now we need to click on this one here, show shaded material in viewport. That means that you'll be able to see it in these various boxes. This one is set to realistic. It'll show down here. It won't show where you're using wireframes and such. So there you go. Make sure your cube is being selected. Click on assign material to selection, and look, there we go, pretty colours. Notice it doesn't show where we have wireframes. Okay, now we can close this down, we don't need it anymore. You now need to mess about with what's known as UVW textures. This can be actually very difficult to get to grips with, can become very complex. So we go up here under modifiers, click UV coordinates, and we're going to have UVW unwrap. This is one way of doing it, this is another. There are lots of different ways of doing it. We'll keep it basic, unwrap UVW. And then come over here, open the UV editor, come up the top right here and choose the texture which we're using. There we go. Now I'm just going to open this up a bit, and we're going to pick this one here. You've got the usual scale, rotate and so forth. Pick this one here. I'm going to click and select the two over here and move them over there, and then we'll select the two bottom ones and pop them up. Now these four corners represent the entire cube. I'll come back to that in a second. So we've made a green cube from one texture basically. Okay, we'll click that. We will now right click on the cube, convert to, and convert it back to an editable poly. Now let's suppose we want different colours on different faces. We now come over, make sure this one is selected to modify it. Come down here, we'll select polygon faces, in other words. Click on that. Let's click the top face there, and you notice it highlights it. Come back to modifiers, UV coordinates, and exactly the same one we did just now. And again, open the UV editor. Again, select our texture. Now this time, click this one here. I'm going to select all four colours, four corners I mean. I'm now going to move them to the blue, and you can see it moving on the cube over on the right. Pick the blue one. Let's have a blue face. All we do then, right click on the cube, convert to editable poly, and we now have a blue face. Let's do that once more. We'll pick this one here, and let's suppose we want all four colours on this face. Back up to modifiers, UV coordinates, unwrap, back in the editor. Pick our texture map again. Now all we simply do now, pick these two corners, move them over to this side, pick the two bottom corners, move them to the bottom. It doesn't matter if these lines are perfectly straight, so long as you've got whatever's inside the box. Close it down, right click, convert it back to editable poly. Now we have green faces, a blue face, and one face with all four colours. Okay. Now we'll just save as, and here's one I did earlier when I was practicing. Click on that, save it. We now need to come back under this box here and choose export. Okay, don't worry about these ones at the moment. Export selected means you can pick just one particular object from a scene, but we just click on export down here. We now need to find our location again, so click up here, the Kent Coast, where are we, scenery, buildings. Those are buildings. We now need to choose the correct format to save it. Click down here, and again, assuming that you already have your plugins installed, you will get RW Intermediate Geometry, Railworks Intermediate Geometry, IGS. Click on that. And again, here's one I did earlier, and that's something else I'm working on at the moment. RW Intermediate Geometry. Okay, I'm replacing it, so just click yes, click export, and up here, export complete. Should there be a problem, it will say export failed, and very often will give you a reason why. Okay, click OK. We've now done with this. We can close it down. The Railworks folder, and we need to run the blueprint editor. Okay, there we go. There's our source files already showing. Click on there. Gradually go down through the files, scenery, buildings, and we're in the folder where our cube has been saved. Now, oh, excuse me, too early in the morning. What we need to do to set this up, you will right click on this folder, click add, new item, blueprint. Where are we? Find the type we want to save. I can't see it for the life of me. There we go. Blueprint. Scenery blueprint. It's a scenery object. There are loads of different things you can save in here. It's worth having a look through. One I'm learning myself at the moment is this one here. Animated scenery blueprints. That's what I'm playing with at the moment. So we will go on scenery blueprints, click OK, give it a name, all the rest of it. I've already done one. I called it tutorial cube, and it's saved as an XML file. And this is what you'll end up with. You put a name in there, name, browser information. This is the name that will show up in the list of assets in Train Simulator. I've called it tutorial cube. Let's pop a space in there, looks a bit neater. You then come down to the render component. There it is, render component, open it up. And we have geometry ID. What you do then, you come back over to your folder, find the file, look, there's the IGS file that we saved. Right click on it, copy, come over here, and you simply paste it in there. It's already there, but you click and paste basically. Okay, now comes the clever bit. You press F7 at the top. F7, there you go. Export succeeded. Again, if it fails, it will say fail, and admittedly sometimes it can be a bit tricky tracking down the exact reason of the file, but sometimes it will tell you. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty much it done. Close that down. There we go. Train sim. It's up and running. Click on build. Pick wherever you're going to put your. This is interesting. It's just a basic route that I created where I test all my various bits and pieces. Click edit. Wait for it to load, sing to ourselves. Let's find an empty patch. Click on the little house. Put your mouse cursor anywhere in here and press, in this case, the letter T, and it will come to all the things that start with T. And right at the bottom, look, there's our tutorial cube. Simply pop it where we want. Goes black, that's just shadows and stuff. And we can do this, and we can do this, and of course, there's your cube. Very clever. Probably sounds a lot harder than it really is.